Hi everyone, so today I want to do a comparison video between the Hiboy S2 Pro, the 2023 version, and the Evercross H7, which is also came out in 2023. So let's get started. So both of these, I have these two scooters. I bought them myself, and they are kind of in the same price range, kind of, because the S2 Pro is cheaper by around $100 to $200, but around the same price category. The S2 Pro is more closer to the entry level, and the X7 is slightly closer to mid-range. But the Evercross, the price is around 600 and I would say around $700 to $900. So still not too expensive, and the S2 Pro is around $500 to $700. So kind of similar, although not exactly. And from this angle, as you can see, they look very different actually. Two very different form factor of electric scooters. The similarities is they both have a seat option. The X7 actually comes with the scooter, so it's not an option actually, but you have the option to take it off. And the S2 Pro actually, you can just get the scooter. You don't have to buy the seat. It comes separately, but you can also buy it if you want. They both have 10-inch solid tires. However, the one on the X7 is actually 10 inches, but the S2 Pro actually has 9.5, but they've advertised as 10-inch, and it's a lot narrower, as you can see here from this angle. Not sure if you can see clearly. The tire on the H7 is way wider than the S2 Pro. The S2 Pro is around 2.2 inches wide. The H7 is around 3 inches in width. So even though they are both 10-inch solid tires, but they are very different. The H7 has the off-road style and the off-road style tire. The S2 Pro has the on-road style. Um, and they look very different. The ground clearance is a lot more on the X7 than the S2 Pro. As you can see, the X7 has around 6 inches of ground clearance. The S2 Pro is only 2.5 or 3 inches. So a lot higher on here. And again, it's slightly geared towards off-roading. However, I don't recommend going off-road. It's single motor and not that powerful anyway. Speaking of motor, the X7 has the 800 watt motor, rated at 800. That's probably the highest output, maximum output. The S2 Pro has a 500 watt. Again, that's probably the maximum output. It's actually closer to 300 watt, I guess. I mean, based on performance myself, real world performance. This one probably closer to 500 watts. And this motor is geared more towards top speed rather than torque and acceleration. So the acceleration for both of these are kind of bad. But again, they are not that expensive. Going uphill also kind of bad on both of these. On a nearby 10% grade, the X7 reaches around 9 miles per hour, and this one is around 8 miles per hour. So both are terrible. But the X7 has a way faster top speed on flat surfaces. The X7 has a top speed of around 28 miles per hour. I myself reaches around 26 miles per hour. Again, I'm relatively lightweight. I weigh less than 130 pounds. However, on the S2 Pro, it claims top speed of 90 miles per hour. However, I can only reach around 18, sometimes 17. But still, around 10 miles per hour difference between these two scooters. So a pretty big gap. And then, as you can see, the stem height is a lot different. Well, because the X7 has the adjustable stem height, now is at the lowest setting. The lowest setting is the most comfortable for a sitting position. If you're standing up, then of course you can make it taller. That's why you can see the X7 is a lot shorter in terms of the stem. And in my opinion, I think the X7 looks way better, not even close. And actually, one thing I have to tell you, I took off the rear wing of the X7. So it comes with a wing, I take it off because there's no use for it. That thing weighs like almost 5 pounds. So that's why I take it off. Too much weight, and I don't use that anyway. So just a disclaimer. Both have rear suspension. However, the one on the X7 is way better. It's a way beefier suspension. The red coils. This one also had red coils, but it's hard to see. It's underneath the deck, and it's not as big. And the X7 has full suspension, front and rear. You can see this double coil on both sides, so 4 coils. And this one, no suspension at all. So the ride is a lot smoother on the X7. But I don't like the off-road style tire. It's just way too pumpy. And the headlight is actually better on the S2 Pro. It's up high. This one is just down low and, you know, kind of filmy looking. But everything is plug and play on the Evercross. This one is of course not plug and play. If you want to customize or fix your scooter, this is a much better option. Another big difference is the trigger throttle on the H7, which is found on most other, you know, higher end fast speed scooter, and it has a key entry, so you need a key to turn it on. It's a great safety feature. The S2 Pro, of course, just like most other entry-level scooter, doesn't need a key, just a press a button. However, you have the app option to lock it, but I don't recommend that. I don't use it anyway. And then, of course, it's a thumb throttle. That's a big difference as well. There's a regular bike bell over here. This one has a electric horn over here, the red button over here. And it doesn't come with the mirror. The mirror is aftermarket, just FYI. And the build quality, both are kind of good for its price, but I like the wrecked look of the Evercross much more. It looks way sturdier, you know, everything is sturdy, especially the deck is like pure metal. It's like a heavy duty metal. That's why it's very heavy in terms of weight. The Evercross weighs 70 pounds. 70, so it's very heavy, way heavier than even other $1,000 scooters. I don't know why it's so heavy. It looks like most of the weight is from the tire, the wheel, and the battery deck over here. The Hiboy only weighs half of that. It weighs around 36 pounds without the seat, so it's a big difference. This one almost twice as heavy. And the H5 is only like 45 pounds. I don't know why the H7 weighs like so much more. And then speaking of the battery, this one has a 11.6 amp hour. This one has a 15 amp hour. So it's a lot bigger on the Evercross, and it's also 48 volt. This one is 36 volt. So again, better on the Evercross. So the battery capacity on this one is around 730 watt hour. This one is 414 watt hour. However, the range is kind of similar, believe it or not, because the Evercross is way more powerful, way faster and way heavier, so the range, it hurts the range a lot. And the off-road style tire, and it doesn't have any regenerative braking, no electronic braking as well, so that's why the range is kind of similar. I would guess around 20 miles on the Evercross, also around 20 miles on the Hiboy. And the folding mechanism is completely different as well. The Hiboy has one of my most favorite folding mechanism. And also it has a hook here. That's part of the folding mechanism. It can act as a grocery bag holder, which I like it a lot. It hooks to here. The Evercross is very difficult to fold this thing. That's why I'm not gonna fold this. I have a video on that, you can watch that, but it's kind of difficult. But it's very sturdy, I would say. The Evercross, the entire Evercross, believe it or not, is very sturdy. Everything is heavy duty. This thing, it's like solid metal, not unlike the Hiboy. I believe this metal, I mean, before you assemble this, you can look inside. The metal is very skinny and very thin, so it's a lot filmier than the Evercross. And also that's why the Evercross is so heavy. I just think all the metal here is very thick, that's why. And then the deck also very different. The Hiboy has a 6-inch wide deck. This one has an 8-inch wide deck, so a lot wider. And the texture is also different. This is a rubberized. This is just a sandpaper thing, so kind of filmy and cheap. But of course you can switch that out if you want. You can tear it out and put something new on there. And then the charge port on the Evercross is high top over here, which is my favorite. It kind of avoids things that's water to get in the charge port. The charge port on the Evercross is also actually on the right side, and it's actually down here at the bottom. It's hard to find and locate. There's actually 2 charge ports. You can use 2 chargers to shorten the charge time. However, it only comes with 1 charger. You have to buy the second one if you want. And then the charger is 54.6 volts at 2 amp on the Evercross, and 42 volts 2 amp hour for the Hiboy. So the brick is slightly bigger on the Evercross. And in terms of brakes, the Hiboy has rear disc brake and front electronic braking, and of course there's a dedicated e-brake button, so you don't have to use the disc brake if you want. You don't have to worry about changing the brake pads, and the stopping power is pretty good just on the electronic brake alone. And there's regenerative braking. I just don't recommend it on downhill, that's it, but on flat surfaces it stops in a dime, plus the disc brake as well, so very good on braking. The Evercross is almost as good, not as good, even though it has both front and rear disc brake, but this one doesn't have any electronic braking and regenerative braking. That's why it's kind of a downside. I don't know why they don't incorporate that. The disc brake, eventually you would need to switch them out because there's no e-brake, no electronic braking, and it's not as good as the one on the Hiboy. Maybe it's because it's very heavy, and the brakes is not high quality disc brake, so just FYI. But however, again, the riding comfort or ergonomics is a lot better on the Evercross because of the lower handlebar. This one, it's a standing scooter and you just add a seat to it, so if you're sitting is kind of, your hand is up high, so not very comfortable. The Evercross is much more comfortable with the adjustable handlebar, and the stem, and you sit a lot closer to the stem as well, so very comfortable. And the handlebar is way wider, it's around 24 inches in width. The high point is around like 17 inches, so very narrow compared to the Evercross. The Evercross also has a foldable handlebar, so you can fold it here, as you can see, so it's kind of compact. Of course, no foldable handlebar and no adjustable height on the Hiboy. And I think I talked about most of them already. They both have an app. It has the Hiboy S2 app. This one has the Evercross app. But not too much about the app. I don't usually use the app, and the app is kind of useless in most scooters anyway, especially like the Hiboy. And that's pretty much it. And one more thing is the kickstand over here. The Hiboy is much better because just like most other scooter, it tilts at a good angle. The Evercross doesn't actually tilt that much, so it can easily fall to the right side. So not sure why they do that, and also the kickstand is located near the rear wheel, so not very good. They both have ambient lighting. The Hiboy has a red ambient lighting. This one has a rainbow full color and also flashing, and it has some extra light as well. Both doesn't have turn signals. The X5 has it, but the X7 doesn't have it. But replacing the turn signal is some kind of cool looking ambient lights here and there. It has a lot of ambient lighting on the Evercross. And the seat, of course, is way more comfortable on the Evercross as well. And it comes with the scooter, you don't have to pay extra. So if you add the seat, actually the price even suddenly decreased to around $100. So definitely I recommend the Evercross. And there's a suspension underneath the seat. There's none on the Hiboy. And as you can see, they have the same seat top because both are from the Evercross. The one that came from the Hiboy is extremely hard, so I switched it out. Kind of hurting your butt a lot, so I don't like the seat top of the Hiboy. And that's basically it. Again, if you ask me which one I recommend, I would definitely recommend the Evercross easily. If you have around $700 to spend, the Evercross, the Hiboy can be around $500, but it's definitely worth the $150 to $200 price gap. It's definitely worth it because it's a much better scooter on the Evercross. A lot faster, way more comfortable, unless you like standing up. Full suspension, front and rear disc brakes, a lot cooler, ambient lighting, and looks way cooler. And lots of function, adjustable stem height and foldable handlebars. And the key, I like using the key as well. So overall, I would recommend the Evercross, but if your budget is limited, the Hiboy is not a bad option. But however, I would recommend the KS4 Pro over the S2 Pro. Especially the S2 Pro used to have the stem braking issue over here on this tube over here. I'm not sure they fixed it. Some people said the 2023 model, which is this one, they fixed the problem, but I cannot see the difference from the outside. They said they add a wall on the inside. Of course, I cannot see it from the outside. But just to be safe, you can get the KS4 Pro. And my biggest problem with this is it doesn't reach 90 miles per hour. Can only get 17 to 18. And the cruise control is terrible on this one. Even though the Evercross doesn't have a beep sound, so you always have to look at the screen, and it kind of annoying. You have to look at the screen, and under the bright sun you cannot look at the screen anyway, so you just have to time it right. You have to hold it around like maybe around 10 seconds to make sure the cruise control is on. This one has a beep sound, but when you're climbing a hill, it just, the cruise control activate at 10 miles per hour. After you come out of the hill on flat surfaces, you're still stuck at 10 miles per hour. It's kind of annoying. This one, it just keeps going all the way to the top speed with the cruise control on, so I like that very much. So that's basically it. Again, I recommend the KS4 Pro over the S2 Pro. The Evercross X5 is also very good. It's slightly cheaper as well, but I still recommend the X7. So feel free to ask any question or leave any comments in the comment section. So thanks for watching and have a nice day.